So if we look at some common deviation and movement patterns and holding patterns that happen within this shoulder girdle, we're going to see some very common things. And people don't think about these positions very much because we just happen to go through them as I'm sitting, as we're standing, what side of the couch we sit on, how we have our workstation set up at work. But one of the most common compensation patterns that we see is we see an elevation of the shoulders. So the shoulders themselves raise up to the ears. And we have a saying that we don't want you to wear your scapula like earrings, which is something that happens where the shoulder girdles are way up like earrings. So another thing that can happen is that you can have just one shoulder elevates, maybe depending on how I sit in my car. Maybe if I'm sitting in my car and I like to put my arm on the window, that might elevate one side of the shoulder girdle. Or if I'm sitting on my couch at home and I happen to lean onto the right side of my couch and I lean over that way, that can elevate that shoulder on that side. Maybe as I'm sitting at my desk at work, depending on how I'm using my mouse or how I lean and put my hand on my shoulder, all of those things can have an impact on elevating that shoulder girdle. From there, we can have medial rotation, meaning that whole shoulder girdle is starting to medially rotate forward, and that can cause a lot of compression within the nerves, the veins, and the arteries, increasing thoracic outlet-like syndromes. It can have a huge impact on circulation, strength, control, and coordination for your arms, elbow, hand, and shoulder girdle as well. The next compensation that we can see is, we call it scapular winging, where that scapula actually gets pulled off of the back side of the body because the musculature on the front side is so strong and powerful, it's pulling and lifting that medial margin off of the scapula, and we can see the medial margin or the inferior angle of that scapula lifting up off of the rib cage. All of these are pretty common compensation and holding patterns that we see throughout our entire population.